Shaw had a plan, oh grand and true, to bring back a custom just for you, a dowry's charm to rekindle the fire. In a world where romance might expire, he'd gather gold with wit and flair, pledging his heart beyond compare. For in the shimmer of that old dear gold lies a tale of love, both brave and bold. Bring back the dowry.
God,
Let's
not
make
this
it
again.
clear, a token of love that's sincere, building bridges heart to heart, a timeless way to never part. He spoke of tales from times long past, when gestures grand made love last. With every coin and jewel so bright, he'd prove his love in the soft moonlight. His dream was simple yet profound, to bring old traditions back around.
I'm gonna give it a few minutes, see if anybody comes in. Just decided to do a random stream for the hell of it, so probably don't expect too much.
Bring back the dowries, let's make it clear, a token of love that's sincere.
If you're watching this after the fact, I'd skip forward good 5-10 minutes. Hell, probably even 15 minutes for tonight. That's what I think we're gonna need. Part of me feels bad because we didn't have a stream last week. And I probably won't be around Saturday, so it'd be nice to get one in. Probably today and Friday.
He spoke of tales from times long past, when gestures grand made love last.
And if we get nobody in, then that's too damn bad.
He'd prove his love in the soft moonlight. His
Dream was simple yet profound.
to bring old
We're going to be talking about
back around. For in the giving, pure and sweet, two hearts would forever meet. Bring back the dowries, let's make it clear, a token of love that's sincere.
One more and I'll start watching the video. Damn. Oh man, I haven't heard this one in hell long. Shout out to Dan the Man. No, I don't want to sign up.
It was 10 years ago when we tied the knot. Thought she was the jackpot, the best thing I got. But now I'm here, just me and the breeze. She's got the house, the truck, and even my keys. My pal Shaw warned me, said get it and go. Don't let love blind you, boy, don't be sold. But I shook my head, laughed him away. look who's crying at the end of the day. Should've listened to Shaw, he could see it so clear. Said get a dowry, son, while she's still here. But I gave her my all, now I'm left with regret. She rode off with everything, my heart's in debt. The dog won't even look me in the eye. She took him too when she said goodbye. Left me the lawn chair, tattered and torn, and a fridge that hums like it's cold and forlorn. Shaw sitting there with a grin on his face.
Probably play one more song after this, see if some folks come in.
It's a high stakes race. He raised his glass, said you'll be alright. But next time make sure you secure it tight. Now I'm strumming my heart like a worn out string. A lesson learned in the songs I sing. Don't let love blind you, it's a wild stampede. A little good
Yellow-pilled programmer. Hey, welcome in. Have you been here before, or it looks like you've been here before. Have you changed your name? I feel like you look familiar to me. Thanks for coming in, man. I think I'm going to do the whole show just for you tonight.
Should have listened to Shaw, he could see it so clear. Said get a dowry, son, while she's still here. But I gave her my
Probably give it one more song after this, Yellow Pill. Anonymous Coward, man. This guy spoke with Raymond. It was so boomerific, but that's what made it interesting, because you know Ray wasn't having it. You know, I did go back and watch that because I had caught to the stream late. It seemed pretty tense at times, but there was something I think interesting about watching their two different perspectives, you know. And, you know, I know Raymond well enough, so I can understand why it's just something that he's heard a lot of different people kind of speak like that in some ways. But I do appreciate Mike's sort of, you know, he seems like he's very goal oriented and kind of keeps his eye on the ball, so to speak, a lot. Very problem solving mindset. Not that Raymond isn't. Raymond's very like into what he does, but I know what you mean. I kind of consider Raymond like a black pill boss, maybe the black pilled final boss in a sense. So he's just like, I'm good. But seeing them both talk was an interesting thing. So this might actually be more of that, but I don't know. I just thought this deserved more views because, you know, Heroes Forge is kind of up and coming streamer, and Rich Cooper is a big creator. So it's like, oh, that's cool that he got a conversation with him. I know very little about this guy. I think he had a debate with Andrew Wilson once, and it was about polygyny versus monogamy. Quite possibly. This was probably like a year and a half ago. But, you know, hey, Leo from Twitter. Good to see you, man. I can't bring you up big on the screen, unfortunately, but, you know, I can show you some love this way. Well, I'd have to pop out the other chat, but I can see your chat, Leo, so thanks for coming in and saying hi. We are going to be watching this. Damn, did I ever pause all this music? Okay, good. So, hey, thanks for joining on Twitter, man. I just figured I'd stream on a random time. Anonymous, good to see you, man. Timmy Kramer, kicking ass, Shaw. Keep kicking ass, Shaw. Thank you for helping men in society. Well, I appreciate that, man. That's kind of you to say. Yeah, so the heck with it, guys. I mean, hey, man, you guys are enough for me to get a show started. I'm lucky to have anybody watching me tonight because I usually stream on Saturdays, and I wasn't here last Saturday, and then this Saturday I might be out again. Not that I'm doing anything important, but, you know, So I figured I'd do a stream for people on Wednesday, and I might do another one Friday if some folks are interested. And then that way, it'll make up for Saturday. So, yeah, this is Heroes Forge. He most recently was on Raymond Thoughts and Minds show. Also, I'm testing out new headphones. I got some open back headphones, so they're a little different. And hopefully you guys can't hear any feedback because you can hear a little bit of the sound from it, but it's like miles comfortable from what I usually wear. So I'm just like, thank God. I actually really like these headphones. And I wish I could remember who to thank because it was somebody in the Discord probably like 8 months ago who told me I should buy these, and I finally bought them. It was probably like a year ago they told me that. Brute Man, good to see you. Hey Shaw, how are you? I can only be on for a little while. I'm doing well, man, and no pressure. Don't worry about staying for too long. Just hang out, man. I'm happy enough you came in and said hi. They won't stop, can't stop. Good to see you, Op Seeker. All right, well, let's just go ahead and have some fun. I mean, it's gonna be, real small crowd tonight, huh? All right, Heroes Forge, Rich Cooper, and Rob Kowalski. I think it's pretty cool that he's got all these guys on his show. So let's see what they talk. I actually never watched this. I really only know what this is about based off the title, and I still am not really sure. So we'll see where this goes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking
Dan
about
the man, shout out.
Trevor and Ashley
Good to see you,
Sheets
brother.
and all of the nonsense coming from Twitter. That's
Okay, so that was like some big story that happened recently. That was the thumbnail of the video. And I did see some of that stuff on Twitter. That was some guy came out and was basically like, yeah, my wife used to be not very chaste, and she's doing well now, and because of a religious conversion and all this. And it kind of went viral because some people were like, dude, why would you put all that out there? People had a bunch of opinions on it. So we're going to hear their opinions on that. I don't know if you guys caught the story, but here we go.
come up from that and what it means to men, women, Christianity, and the world writ large. I've got two gentlemen with me that I greatly respect, so I'm going to go ahead and ask them to introduce themselves. Rich, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
Sure. Rich Cooper, been
Hopefully you
uploading
can
to
hear.
YouTube for 11, 12 years now. Wrote a couple of best-selling books on Amazon.
Might need to
Great
make it
content
louder.
on entrepreneurs and cars and the Unplugged Alpha podcast channel.
Awesome. Thank you. Rob, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Rob Kowalski. I probably suffered more than any other man on the planet under the false monogamy only doctrine. And now I am a biblical marriage advocate. I lead a group called Man of Options. I'm working on my second book called Man of Options, Escaping the Monogamy Only Lie.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he's the polygynous guy. Did Mike meet Raymond? Brother, yes, Mike met Raymond. And there was it was pretty good. They were pretty cool, but there were some tense moments, we'll say. I can share the link later on. But overall, I think it was, a decent discussion. Yeah, I didn't react to it or anything. I just watched it on Raymond's channel. It was on one of his lives. I used to watch Rich Cooper way back. I mean, not like a lot, but I would listen to his stuff. He's cool. Sometimes he says stuff that I'm like, ugh, like he has this post that he regularly posts where he'll be like, it's not the laws, it's you. And I'm always like, yeah, and it's a little bit of, the laws are part of it.
And just pretty passionate about the topic at hand.
Yeah, it's really interesting. From your background, I remember that you've had a long stretch where you were kind of like the poster child for just biblical purity in terms of not bedding any women. And now you kind of you're in a different stretch. And I think this topic really hits home to you in a lot of ways.
For sure. Yeah.
So Rob, would you go ahead and basically introduce what the controversy is?
Yeah, I mean, so I saw that post that Trevor Sheets put up, I guess that, maybe a couple hours after he put it up. And for me, it was one of the harsher, public posts that I probably put up on this subject. It's probably more like something Rich would have said. But I just was like, this is your typical church simp story where, a woman, an X304, comes to Jesus after she hits the wall and looks for a faithful simp to clean up the mess, as a virgin, no less, which was what just made it way worse, right? Because he's the virgin.
That's what it was about the story. Yeah. So the husband was a virgin when he got married, and I guess he dated his wife for like 9 months, and she's a reformed, woman who was out there. But they made a post that was like very, I don't know. It was just, people kind of just heard that and they were like, this is too much.
She's the promiscuous one. And then the way he worded it with the whole, she's pure.
But other people were like, no, this is good. We want to hear about this. So it was all back and forth.
Than most virgins. It was very virtue signaling of the highest order. It was just really disgusting, I thought. And so, yeah, I actually posted that and went to bed and didn't know what the response would be, but it was like hundreds of likes and reposts. And I was like, so that definitely resonated with people. And then the thing just went completely viral over the next few days. I mean, it's got like 75 million or maybe more even now views, which is crazy. So it's really hitting a nerve on both sides with people. And I just think it'd be interesting for us to break it down. I'm grateful to be here to have a conversation of what is it on both sides? Like, what is it that people are so upset about, and seeing if we can get to the root of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, Don DeMarco, shout out to you, man. Today is Wednesday evening, and I just felt like doing a stream. I missed last Saturday, and I'm probably gonna miss this Saturday, so I'll probably do another stream Friday just to, shout out to the guys and everything. So yeah, I don't know. I just was like, you know what? Maybe I can even do 2 streams this week. Why not? But welcome in, man. Great to see you.
Absolutely. Now, Rich,
grateful to be here to have a conversation of what is it on both sides? Like, what is it that people are so upset about, and seeing if we can get to the root of it.
Yo, Luke Nielsen, man, it's great to see you. I was hoping to see you too, man. Hope everybody's doing well. And I didn't know if I was gonna stream. I just was at work and I was like, I should just do one for the heck of it. And then I'll try to do another one Friday. Hopefully I could choose a decent enough topic for Friday. Saturday I'm gonna be out BSing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Rich, from my understanding, I don't think you're a Christian, so you've got a very different perspective on this than Rob and I would. So can you go ahead and briefly give us a summary of your take on this?
I hope you guys are familiar with the story. Part of me is tempted to bring up some of those tweets just because, they'll probably share their screen. I don't know if they do. Shout out to you know what? While I'm talking with y'all, I'll see if I can pull up the tweets just so everybody knows what they're talking about. Because I managed to catch way more of this story than I otherwise, would have. But why the heck not? Why not be thorough? You know how we do it over here. React. I'm doing okay, man. I was pretty tired. Past couple days, I've just been had a lot with work, and but that's okay. You know what I mean? We don't stop out here. We keep going. Dang it. I thought I actually bookmarked some of these. Maybe I really didn't. That's too bad. Gosh, I bookmark way too many things. What the? Oh, no, hold on a second. That's not cool. All right, whatever. All bookmarks. I really thought I did get actually one of these tweets. That's too bad. I was hoping to share the story with you guys. That's a dang shame. Oh my God. I just saw something on my bookmarks. The hell with it. I'll make a standalone video on that. We should almost be there. That's Lila Rose. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm finding it. All right. Okay, this is the guy. We don't need to go over all his tweets, though. Let's just find the main one. Michael Knowles. All right, let's see. Matt, thanks for the post. Yeah, he's writing all types of stuff. Matt Walsh had reacted to it. Damn, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find this. Matt, thanks for the post. Couple minutes more, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, I found it. Thank God. Okay. All right. You don't have to force yourself to stream. You can always take a break. I appreciate that, Dan. Yeah, I kind of needed one, man. I just had a lot going on with things. But I feel bad because it's just like, even if I got a lot going on, I'm just like, man, just keep doing stuff. So, you know. I think I remember the story. A guy who was a virgin married yeah, I totally found the tweet I was looking for. And, you know, this is like, it got 35.9 million views. The odd thing about it, though, is it has 12,000 likes, but it also has 12,000 comments. So it's just like I don't know if a lot of people liked it, but a lot of people reacted to it. I was wondering why that man was airing his reformed wife's dirty past on the internet. Why, sir, it to the whole world? Why show to the whole world that she's had a dirty past and you were a virgin on your wedding day? Yeah, I mean, you know, aside from the stuff of it being like engagement, I think the like answer is like, well, you know, we want to really just broadcast how downtrodden we were, she was, and how things turned around so much to become really positive and good, you know. Maybe almost in like a, you know what I mean? And so that's supposed to be the positive of it. A corn star? Yeah, that's what it was. She was a corn star who claimed to be a born-again Christian. Definitely comes across as virtue signaling. Yeah, I remember the story. Yet another one of those religious guys. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay, so here's the thing. And this guy, Trevor. My wife was formerly promiscuous. I was a virgin. I don't actually know if that translates to corn star or not, but I think that's really what it was. She was then radically born again, committed to church, evangelized constantly, Puritan books in her bedroom, prayer journals, grief over past sexual sin, etc. We got to know each other for, you know, well over a year, dated for 4 months. This guy writes a lot, by the way. We might skip some of this. Engaged for 2.5 and didn't sin sexually with one another. Our first kiss with each other was at the altar on our wedding day. So, yeah, this is like, you know, I mean, you know, I don't know. We've been married for over 5 years now, and she's been the most wonderful and godly wife. Mother to our 3 children and homemaker you could imagine. She's more pure than most virgins. Okay, you know, he didn't mention anything about this.
Oh, dowry, it's my right.
That's all right. Well, not really, but she's more pure than most virgins. I think that's what set off some people. I think it was that part. As biblical purity has less to do with past sins, though they certainly matter, and more to do with one's current posture of the heart and daily decisions to honor the Lord. We're far too quick to forget the story of the woman labeled as a known sinner. So yeah, I mean, this goes on a bit. I can read the rest of it. Everyone seems to highlight the benefits of virginity, and it certainly is a blessing. But we forget to highlight the benefits of being forgiven. So my wife knows the depths of Jesus' forgiveness more than most people, enabling her to more easily live out a life of passionate love for her Savior. A woman or man's past sexual sin matters, but what matters far more when it comes to deciding who to marry is if the person is truly born again. Well, you know, and this.
Which one of these broads has the richest father?
But okay, you know, we don't gotta. So yeah, this is it. That's the picture. And it just went like, here's Rich Cooper. Okay, you married a hoe. Cool story, bro. Yeah, so there was a lot of people, but it wasn't even just like, it was even like, you know, Matt Walsh and some of these like Daily Wire guys reacted to it. Here's the Matt post. So see, this is Matt Walsh, and he's just like, my take on the current discourse about the Christian man with the formerly promiscuous wife is that many of the comments toward the man and his wife have been uncharitable, cruel, and certainly unchristian. Finally, the man's line about his wife is more pure than virgins is prideful and shows a kind of competitiveness and vanity that should simply not ever appear in any prodigal son style testimony. So I don't know. Seems like he's not being too hard on the guy, but didn't appreciate something. So that's the story. Okay, so that's the story. We can get back to the conversation now. I just wanted everybody to know. Hey, Shaw, I'm at 8 to 9 kids now. Hey, gamer. That's awesome, man. That's pretty badass. 8 to 9 kids. I don't think there's many folks out there that could say that. God can forgive former 3 or 4s, but men are not obligated to wife them up. Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, his sort of engagement bait was the pure than virgins thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, the other side of that is, can you take a, you know, and there's probably a story somewhere, if you look deep enough into these, you know, religious discussions, about a man who was a murderer and, you know, he got reformed and maybe things were better. But, you know, I don't know. By and large, when it comes to, like, people that aren't in stories, like, if someone really, you know, I don't know, you know, I think people still kind of suffer not suffer, but like have to deal with the consequences of their past, you know. This dude is definitely trying to virtue signal. Say she is better than other people gives off those vibes. Yeah. She must have huge tracts of land. Oh, exactly.
Herbert, we live on a bloody swamp. We need all the land we can get.
Exact, but I don't like her. I love that sound effect. Okay, yeah, let's go and move in. Just another example of how the church does not hold women accountable. Matt got that last part right. Yeah, he did. I wonder how people are betting on this marriage holding up. Well, they've been married for 5 years and they have 3 kids, you know. I don't know. I guess we'll see, huh? So, yeah, all right. So that was the controversy that they're talking about.
I mean, I've said a few times that Christ and the church seems to be like the final resting place for most hoes today. That's kind of where they go to try to get redeemed. And I get the angle because they think that their past will be forgiven and forgotten by everyone because God or Jesus or whoever does. So I see the appeal.
I feel like there's 2 parts to the story. It's like, listen, on the one hand, yeah, they're past the kind of, you know, part of the manosphere there that's like, hell, you know, if you do this, then you're going to be an old cat lady. But then the other part of the story is like, there's always some guy somewhere willing to marry that woman. So, you know, I think Pearl will kind of mention that sometimes. And so far she's being proven right on that. The other thing that this whole thing makes me think of is like the Madonna whore complex. You know, like that's kind of what this is. Like this right here. This is the Madonna whore complex. You know what I mean? It's just like, and I think like the ultimate blue pill fantasy is to have the Madonna whore in one person. You know what I mean? And even some of these high value men fantasies, it's just like, well, you know, she's going to be pure on the outside, but she's going to be your personal, you know, genuine burning desire, infinite money machine, infinite genuine burning desire machine forever. So it's like, I can't help but think about that idea, the Madonna whore complex, and how it fits into all this. You know what I mean? You know, and then the other reason it went viral is because she's, you know, physically attractive. Let's be honest, you know. Oh, damn, that's the wrong one. That's too bad. So it's like, well, okay, you know, man, I don't think my my sound effects are right. That's too bad. Oh, never mind. That's what I was looking for. Okay, we're good. So yeah, Madonna whore complex deeply ingrained in here. Paul said it once. It's not the 304's fault. It's the Sims' fault for creating the problem. Yeah, you know, and I think Paul's right. I can't blame Paul for thinking that because, you know, Paul's worked for guys, like just not for guys, but with men. Well, yeah, and advocating for men too for so long that I think at a certain point he's probably just like the simp epidemic is really bad, you know. My reformed 304 wife is purer than virgins. This is an insult to virgins and chaste Christian virgins of the past who arrived with the dowry. Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's just like this kind of, it's almost like it's just the height of delusion as far as like romantic love is concerned. You know what I mean? It's like romantic love grafted onto religion. And it's just like, okay, you have you're, you know, fine, whatever, but leave it if you want, I guess. I think the story hit a nerve because it symbolizes the broken social contract. Men are expected to do everything society has told them for generations, but women can be 304s. Yeah, there's so many pieces to this. And it's like, you know, he really embodies like the beta provider look. She looks like someone that it sort of matches the sort of red pill story narrative, you know, about woman who gets a certain age and then, you know, she suddenly changes how she operates and all that. And then there's this guy who was a virgin the whole time. And we're all supposed to, you know, just, I don't know. It was just a lot. So this was, you know what? Let's actually look at this. This was the tweet he was he was quote tweeting. If someone argues that a former promiscuous woman is damaged goods and questions whether a Christian young man should marry her, remember Rahab. She was a Canaanite prostitute, but became a mother in the lineage of Jesus. God redeemed her, cleansed her, and Salmon married her. So yeah, he was inspired by that to, you know, leave that to go from there. So, you know what, Shaw? If she was a corn star, she probably has lots of land. Maybe she does, you know, yeah, maybe she had a fat bag that she had saved. So yeah, but I don't like her.
What's the dowry situation?
So,
Let's
maybe
get
it
down
was
to
good.
brass tacks here.
The 304 church pipeline is getting more popular. God can and will forgive, but society and men are not obligated to overlook past because it predicts future. Yeah. I mean, we're going to see what happens on that one. But anyways, yeah, so that is the whole deal.
It's incredibly unwise for a man to invite a promiscuous woman into his life as a wife or a girlfriend or anything like that, because they typically don't make very good wives or girlfriends. They cheat more often than not. They're more likely to bring STDs into the relationship. They're generally more disagreeable.
I guess the main sort of crux of this is that the difference here is that this woman, you know, had a religious awakening, and this demonstrates the power of the belief system that, you know, all the stuff Rich is kind of mentioning isn't going to apply in this circumstance. And therefore, you know, really extolling here the virtues and highlighting the power of grace and all these kinds of things. Yellow-pilled programmer, excuse me. Many people quote 2 Corinthians 5:17 for people becoming a new creation in Christ. This is a spiritual transformation. It doesn't erase the consequences of your actions. Yeah, I don't know why. I can't help but think of like the medieval times, like executioner or guy getting walked to the gallows. And then, you know, the priest is there, visits him, and it's like, this is your last chance to be redeemed and saved. And the guy does that. But they typically didn't, you know, stay the execution after that happened. They were like, no, this is for your soul. You still got to get the axe or the rope or the boiling pot of tar, whatever what happened to be back then. So she probably has great acting skill to hold the mask for 5 years. Shah, have you heard the story of Saint Mary of Egypt, who lived in the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire, the 5th or 6th century CE? I don't know if I have, but I don't know why. I can't help but think of some monk that was being tempted, but that's probably a different story. If you don't mind typing it out, I mean, I would like to learn about it. Maybe I can Google it if it's faster, so you don't have to type it out. It's pretty sad if that's the best marketing beat the church can come up with, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, I guess it's just like there's so many people out there in her situation. It's just like they're like they have to offer a road back to something, I guess. But let me just look this up real quick, just because I'm curious. Saint Mary of Egypt. I feel like I've heard that before, but I can't actually. I don't know. It's ringing a bell, but let's see. Saint Mary of Egypt story. I'll give us the wiki. Venerable Mary of Egypt is a revered saint known for her dramatic conversion from a life of prostitution to extreme asceticism. After being prevented by a divine force from entering a church in Jerusalem, she repented, moved to the desert, and lived in solitude for 47 years. Well, I mean, listen, the solitude for 47 years part is commendable. That part's commendable. So I am going to say I respect that. Yeah, so it wasn't like this person had a genuine religious experience or spiritual experience, and they were like, I gotta make up for this, and they were just like, they went to the desert for 47 years. So it's different from just like, all right, everything's cool, let's all just pretend like it didn't happen, I guess. So Saint Mary of Egypt was a prostitute who got radically transformed one day, and after that became a hermit in the desert for the rest of her life. She never married and lived as a hermit instead. Yeah, it seemed like she was, paying the dues on that. In the content sharing channel on the Discord, the latest video I posted there talked about Saint Mary of Egypt. I'll have to check that out. Sorry, man. Sometimes I don't, catch them all. Women like her went celibate for life, not got married, and did the whole look at me bit. I think that's the part that probably bothers the most people is the kind of, attention that, I mean, it's similar to the Nalo Ray thing. Man, I don't know what the hell is going on with my technology today. My apologies, guys. My third screen is messing up here. Okay, we got it back. Yeah, so, it's similar into the Nala Ray sort of plan here. This is the pipeline.
Woman's been through 50 guys. What's going to stop her from making you number 51 when things don't go well in the relationship? So those are a few of the things that I talk to guys about. I mean, I often indicate red flags for guys to look out for and green flags for guys to look for when it comes to relationships. I'm not particularly religious, but I mean, if I was Christian, I would have been insulted by the fact that this guy was saying that my whore of a wife is more pure than a virgin woman. Like, that's just absolutely absurd. And like the fact that he's got the kahunas to to just sit there and write this long story about his wife's disgusting past on social media and make it like she's this like forgiven perfect little thing is just absolutely nuts. And then you see,
I put up a poll, guys, and dang, that's ridiculous. It doesn't give you the question of the poll. Man, I'm so tired of companies having to like redesign everything all the time. Like, I know the poll I asked, but it's nice. Okay, so I just got to click on it. All right, I figured it out, guys. My apologies. Would you marry your daughter to an ex-con who became religious?
the other side of the equation where you see like, probably disgusting, whorish type of women agreeing with this statement. The plugged in simp beta male is also agreeing with this statement, like, give her another chance. But there was a very harsh return from other people saying, essentially, no, this is nuts. Like, this ain't it. Like, this is not something you want to share publicly to the universe about the woman that you've married, the mother of your children. Like, you look absurd, bud.
The other part of this too that I can't help but think about is like the guy who married her, like, he's a virgin, and that's probably being sold as just being pure, but probably, his options weren't that many. So for that guy, it's like, oh my God, okay, she's hot. You know what I mean? Like, this is that hot chick. Where like the other virgins, the other like one virgin that existed in this town, for 6 months, probably wasn't really feeling him, So this is his best option on the table, apparently. Maybe not objectively, but it kind of shows you the criteria for what it takes to be chosen in some ways. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like there's something there to where it's like, someone that's kind of like corn-brained. You know what I mean? But it's like then he has the perfect excuse to like go there. And maybe in order to not admit that to himself, he has to constantly just talk about how great this is and how amazing, you know. I wonder if they will talk about the guy and like why would that guy choose her? You know what I mean? Like that's a question. Now compare St. Mary of Egypt of the ancient church with Nala Ray and Reformed 304s who expect to get wifed up in the modern American church. No, but you know, they end up becoming fantastically rich, some of them, and get kind of paraded around everywhere. So that's, you know, it's good business for them.
Yeah. So it was a really interesting, I guess, social experiment to some degree. As I understand it, the guy owns a social media agency. So there's some people that said that this was a bit of a plot or a ploy for, you know, like engineered virality, which it may have been. And then you saw the interviews with his wife talking about it. And it's like one thing after the other. And I don't really care what people say or what their, you know, what their views are based on, you know, the advice of certain religions. I look at what women are and what they respond to and what the DNA forces them to do and behave like. I think the vast majority of men, if you were to ask them, have you ever recited this sentence or these words? Gee, I wish my wife had banged 50 more guys before I married her. I think if you surveyed the vast majority of men, almost none of them would say anything closely approximating that because they're disgusted by promiscuity. Women are judged by their past. A woman's value is based on her past. A man's value is based on his future, his ability to...
Well, it's also based on this.
Herbert, we live on a bloody swamp. We need all the land we can get. But I don't like it. Don't like her? What's wrong with her? She's beautiful. She's rich. She's got...
This is what they're judged on. Huge tracts of land. Oh, it's too good. And this.
No dowry. It's my right.
It was engineered for virality. It worked. Yeah, I mean, it kind of reads that way. It's like tough. It's like it almost wasn't just because of how long. Like you would think people would have these kind of shorter, more pithy statements that kind of stir the pot to go viral. But this guy wrote a whole essay and put a picture. So like in some sense, maybe it was on purpose, but it was also like it could have been natural. I mean, that's why it was. Maybe he's really good at what he does in that way. Even worse are pastors in the modern American church who tell and shame young church guys into marrying Reformed 304s. When the marriage goes south, these pastors defend their Reformed 304s at any cost. I can almost kind of see why they would do that, because otherwise they have to be like, yeah, man, I was wrong. And it's my fault that you're going through this horrible process of divorce right now. But it seems like a lot easier to just be like, nah, it was just your fault, man. You should have did better. Avalanche says, pop-up stream. What a pleasant surprise. No, man, you know, I didn't do the stream on Saturday. And then this Saturday, I'm probably going to be busy again. And by busy, I mean, you know, out there doing just BSing, if you want me to tell you the truth. Because I ain't trying to lie to you. But at the same time, it's just like, I at least want to do something for the folks, you know, because I should be streaming that Saturday. Yeah, but it's good to see you. I'm appreciative of the folks that are here hanging out. I mean, especially for a pop-up stream, man, that's a blessing. 17 people. And yeah, if you know, I really want to do one Friday night, so hopefully we could find a good topic for Friday night. Yeah, it came out of nowhere and almost missed it. Hey, Base, man, it's good to see you. I was watching your most recent video there. Always a blessing to have Base in here. I may be a broken record, but why do we spend more time talking about a woman having sex than her character? That's a fantastic question. Yeah, that's you know, I think that might reveal a lot of the flaws of the entire space in general. Good question. Let me just end this poll real quick, guys, just because it looks like we got 12 votes on it. And out of 16 people watching right now, oh crap. Gosh, always changing the format on me, YouTube. Okay, there we go. Would you marry your daughter to an ex-con who became religious? 100% said no. Okay, so, you know, but I mean, they became religious though. I mean, they're out there and they're a testimony to how things can turn around and the power, you know, of God and all these things, right? So it's like, wouldn't you want to do that? No? You sure you're not going to change your mind? Man up and marry that 304 if when it fails. If only you were more of a man, she wouldn't have walked away. I know, you got to man up.
Provide. So a man being promiscuous isn't nearly as detrimental to his reputation as it is a woman. So for a husband to air his wife's dirty laundry that publicly in that fashion is just, I was just like, this is just new levels of shocking today.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
My bad. Oh, I thought I freaking muted myself while I was blowing my nose. I didn't even do that. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, you know, I don't even know if it's shocking today. It kind of matches, but I can almost see someone that's like, do you guys think there's such thing as being high on religion? You know what I mean? In some ways, like this is where the virtue signaling comes in, you know, like someone who's so, I'm not trying to speak disrespectfully of religion, but I think some people can take it and really use it to suit something that they're trying to enable themselves to do in a way, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You hit on a lot of different things. So let's go ahead and hit some of this just bit by bit. The first thing that I think was really important to get at is the idea that he put out that his wife is more pure than virgins.
It was really that sentence that did it.
Pissed off a lot of people.
As it should.
And it should, because if you're preaching that sexual purity is the standard, and then you go ahead and have this person that has had several years of promiscuity and they did some cam girling back in the day and all this other background, and then you
she was doing cam above. So she was doing some kind of stuff like that.
People that have followed the rules, that will piss a bunch of people off.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that, Rob?
So, you know, Matt Walsh wrote it in his tweet. It's a prodigal son style story.
Rob?
Yeah, no, I think what Rich said, it was probably an intentional grift. I mean, the thing I thought about a lot over the last few days, it's almost like the whole body positivity movement, right? Like where they're trying to tell you that, you know, fat is beautiful and don't, you know, this isn't.
That's a really great analogy. I like what he's saying there. It is kind of like that.
It's all just, you know, social engineering to believe that, you know, Sydney Sweeney's hot. She's, you know, this fat girl Lizzo's just as hot. It's like that. It's really, but what he's done is like he lowered his standards and she lowered her standards, right? Because she was probably, he's a virgin. He couldn't get any, so he's an incel, probably. And she's a, you know, an X304. But so she lowered her standards, married kind of a nerdy guy that's a little bit older, and he lowered his standards and married. And they paint it like it's the ideal. That's the part that bothers me. Mm-hmm. Fine if you want to marry a girl like that. Number one, don't broadcast it. But number two, don't sell it like it's the ideal that we should all follow. No, that's not the path, bro. Like that's the thing that pisses me off. And what he did was he dismissed the fact the legitimate discipline that it takes for someone to maintain their virginity in this degenerate world that we live in. Right? It's very hard.
That's another good point too. I don't know. I'm kind of, you know, I'm appreciating what he's saying there.
I was abstinent for a long time, and it was not easy. So to say that she's, you know, purer than most virgins, and then so it not only does it minimize the
there's a lot of gynocentrism in this. I mean, if we're going to use some of this language. There's a lot of putting her on a high pedestal. I mean, purer than most virgins or whatever.
Discipline that a real virgin shows to maintain that, but it also kind of diminishes her sin, so to speak, right? Like her past is under the blood. They say that. Like, dude, you could be a murderer on death row and get saved legitimately and still get executed. Like it doesn't free you from the consequences.
I almost want to like pull up a clip of them interviewing her because I think after this, I think she was on some big shows. I don't know if it was Lila Rose or not. I can't remember her name. I could try to find
your actions. So like, yeah, I think what Rich said is spot on. Like you're going to have problems because there's legitimate psychological emotional damage that's done through living that way. And yes, you can be forgiven. Both things can be true. That's the thing that they gaslight men. They say, oh, you don't believe in grace. No, I do. I still don't want to marry an ex-war. Is that okay? Like, and I think that
Oh,
men
crap.
are just
I
waking
wasn't
up to
showing
it. I
this.
think that was the thing. It's like, finally, like I went to a feminized church for a while where there were female pastors, and some of the women were, formerly promiscuous, and they get center stage, man. You're like, I'd rather you put up a girl that's an innocent virgin that never went down that path, and make her the spokesperson of the church and the face, because that is what all men want, right? Like at the end of the day, we all want this behavior to stop. Let's be honest. Like as a Christian, I just don't want women doing this shit anymore. But so if you pedestalize a woman like that, or put her in the spotlight after that, you send a message to women that you can go out and have your cake and eat it too. You can live however you want, and at the end of the day, you're going to get the fairy tale. And I just don't think that's the right message, man. And I think,
yeah, and I mean, I guess they're not saying that explicitly, but I guess it's about the message that people can take from these kinds of things. Okay, here's her Twitter, Ashley Sheets. I was hoping to find like a clip of her on whatever show that was. Man, I'm probably not going to find that. Who am I kidding? The other part of this too is like it only went viral because, she's like standard attractive, like physically, like if she wasn't, would anybody care so much? I don't know. Okay, all I can find is pictures of steaks on here, pictures of being pregnant, pictures of her and her babies on Twitter. Yeah, let me see. Let me just see if I can just YouTube her name. Maybe I shouldn't even play. I feel like if we watch her and react to her, it'll just probably be more annoying than anything. Ashley Sheets with the Z. Testimony. Oh, here we go. Her response. There it is. Yeah, okay. So we do have see, I knew there was something. So yeah, this is the wife, and then this is someone named Allie Beth Stuckey, and they interviewed her. I'm tempted to play it, but to be honest, it's also probably going to be like hearing nails on a chalkboard for a while, so I'm also not trying to torture everybody, but maybe we'll click on this. I mean, we got her response. Conservative backlash. Okay, yeah, we don't need the whole background. Here's her response. Growing up in New Age. Overdose and hospitalization. Okay, we're getting a timeline here. Finding the gospel. Giving herself to Christ. Meeting Trevor. Okay, maybe we could click through some of that later. It just depends how much time we have. So yeah, just wanted to figure that out. Real quick, let me just catch up with the chat. Shout out to the 19 people watching on this random pop-up stream. Other saints similar to Saint Mary of Egypt were Saint Moses the Ethiopian, a reformed gang leader turned hermit ascetic. Saint Pelagia of Antioch and Saint Margaret of Cortona all became hermits and ascetics. Okay, Mary, Moses, Margaret, and Pelagia and other saints all became hermits and ascetics after a life of promiscuity and never married during their entire lives. Wow, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, you probably would scant hear of something like that nowadays, huh? Christendom is an environment. The spiritual high you're talking about comes from years of conditioning men to think a certain way. Yeah, it's like wanting to enable someone's sort of a fantasy or romantic delusions and just giving it another, I don't know, coat of paint in some ways. And then other people who maybe take those beliefs seriously are just like, hey, this is, we're not appreciating this. I say this as a Christian myself. Okay, yeah. Thank you for that, yellow-pilled programmer. Base says, well, let's challenge this, right? What makes a woman promiscuous to begin with? And why are you not more worried about that? Not you specifically, Shaw. Hey, Raymond's in here. That's a good question, though, Base. What makes her promiscuous to begin with? There's probably, obviously a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot of things, but certainly men have a role to play in that, but not blaming the men, but certain people who know how to take advantage of situations, you know, that come in, and it's sort of the lack of community. So it's not really, you know, the men are being influenced in a certain way too. And it's creating this kind of cycle of problems. You know what I mean? It's almost like, why are people likely to join gangs or something like that? A lot of it is the environment that they're growing up in, you know, and the positive influences that they're missing in their lives, as well as other opportunities and things like that. So for whatever reason, they see that kind of life and they think it's the choice to make, and that it's cool, or that it'll yield positive results. And it in fact does not. Shaw, hey Raymond, great to see you. Did you just finish streaming? Shout out to you, man. We're just hanging out watching this video here from Mike from Heroes Forge, and he's got Rich Cooper and this guy Rob Kowalski, and they're reacting to, oh dang it, where's that picture at that I like? Right here. I like showing this. Well, I don't know, but this, I don't know if you remember this controversy. And then if we have time, we might actually listen to her response. So this is what we can look forward to here today. Simps feed on her vanity. Hey, by the way, Raymond, I got the Highlander DVD, and I was watching it last night, man, and I'm loving the movie. Hold on a second. Oh God. Oh, my bad. Oh, sorry. Raymond recommended that I buy this movie. There can only be one. And it's pretty good. I'm actually really liking it. I didn't finish it last night because I got tired. But I'm probably going to finish it later today. Thank you for that amazing suggestion, Raymond. All right. There can only be one. Simps feed on her vanity and no strong father figures. There it is. There it is. Thank you for that.
You know, we got a branding problem, a serious branding problem in Christianity. So.
Sure. And I think this comes on the heels of Lily Phillips and Nala Ray and a bunch of other professional former 304s. They go ahead and come to the faith and they seek absolution. And don't get me wrong, like, yeah, your sins are forgiven if you're doing the thing and you get baptized, you repent, you actually walk the walk. But a lot of people aren't doing that. And in addition to that, they have this false belief that all the other natural and earthly consequences go away. Like you said, all of the emotional, all of the social, all of the physical ravages of sin still exist. And to go ahead and gaslight guys that they shouldn't consider this when they're looking for a wife is retarded. Like, it is insane. Like, why in the world would you go ahead and choose this person over somebody else that has done the work and has kept themselves pure? Because the challenge for men is to build themselves from nothing, because most of us come from the dirt. And all they have to do is not screw up the bag that they've been given to start.
Yeah, I think it's good to point out some of the stuff about the emotional, you know, damages and things like that. The other thing that this whole conversation makes me think of is just the environment and the market that's out there. And I think this is where it kind of does go back to the simps enabling it. But there's different kinds of simps, you know, there's regular simps, there's religion simps. Like, there's people who hear the story and they're just like, I want to give my money to this, but you know, that's a free market for you. Highlander TV series is awesome too. I did see that there was a TV series, but I was like, I'm going to watch the movie and then, you know, maybe check out the show.
And that's the thing that is just insane, is they live life on easy mode in so many ways, and they can't even handle that. And they expect for us to take on the burden ourselves and to go ahead and be Christ-like. Got it. That's my responsibility. But I also have the responsibility of choosing who my wife is going to be.
See, I'm glad he said that part. The person has the responsibility of the choice also on them. And that guy chose that woman, you know, so okay, fine. But you know, people are upset about stating things like, you know, the purer than virgins part, I think really got to some folks.
And that ain't going to be it.
Oh my God.
Do you have anything to add on?
I was just going to say I saw somebody say, you know, you wouldn't go into business with somebody that filed multiple bankruptcies. You wouldn't let a redeemed child molester babysit your kids, right? Like, you just wouldn't do those things. So why is this different? And why do the pastors tell men you need to rescue her? or whatever BS that they feed us, right? Like you need to 50%. I mean, the divorce rate's basically the same in the church as it is.
I almost wish they had like a blue-pilled guy on there, like a blue-pilled religious guy, just to play the other side.
Outside the church, she can take care.
I almost feel like I have to step in and do that just to be like, well, hold on. They didn't say you got to do that. Maybe they did say that.
80% of the divorces are followed by women. Rich, just listen to your book again. He said, you're 2 times more likely to commit suicide as a divorced man. All these things add up, and then they say, forget her past. Like you'd have to be really. It's like one of the most important decisions of your life, who you marry, and then you're just gonna forget her past. It's like, no, bro, like we're not doing it anymore. And again, I'm glad to see that a lot of them are standing up finally and speaking up.
We have to make slut shaming great again. We really do.
I don't know. Like, do you guys think that the slut shaming would work? Because the reason I say that is because a lot of these people that they named, like the Lily Phillips and these kinds of people, the slut shaming plays into the whole dynamic here. And in the world of social media that we got, I'll make it a poll question. Like they end up benefiting from the shaming. Donald Trump is in office because of the shaming. You know what I mean? Like that's how he initially got popular. All the media shaming did something for him in that way. Well, let me ask that. Do you think SL*T shaming would work? I know we have not outlined the goals here. Hey, Caesar Quintana. Blessing to have you here. Thanks for being here. Sounds like Heroes Forge believes in the women are born with their value narrative. I did hear that, and I instantly thought this.
Your dowry, it's my right.
What we don't need to bring back the slut shaming. What we need to bring back is women working and saving for their marriages, or at least their families contributing a very real amount to their marriages. This is what we need to bring back.
What's the dowry situation? Exactly. Let's get down to brass tacks here.
I'm trying to bring this.
Herbert, we live on a bloody swamp. We need all the land we can get. But I don't like her. Don't like her? What's wrong with her? She's beautiful, she's rich, she's got huge tracts of land.
That's what we need to bring back. Oh yeah, that's one thing. If man was a PDF file and claims to be born again Christian, there is no way any tradcon would just forgive that guy. See, that highlights the gynocentrism in all this. Yeah, I mean, I asked the poll question about would you want your daughter to marry an ex-convict, who got reformed? And 100% of people in here said no. Oh, real quick, let me end this poll before we get back into the... do you think slut shaming would work? Ah, dang it. I probably should have left it on there for longer. 60% say no. 40% say yes. Okay, so kind of down the middle. All right, let's move in.
Yes.
It has to be a thing, like
the slut shaming.
And again, I'm glad to see that a lot of them are standing up finally and speaking up.
We have to make slut shaming great again. We really do.
Yes.
It has to be a thing. Like it does modify behaviors. Fat shaming modifies behaviors for fat people. Broke shaming modifies behaviors for people that are unwilling to do the work. And
I think shaming works if there's real consequences that go along with it if the people don't stop their behavior. It's like if there's actual like consequences that society would then take if they continue on down that line. Maybe people feeling ashamed of something would help. So it's like, how do you get people to feel ashamed of something that's actually bad instead of just trying to shame them from the outside? Should be from shaming them, but if there's no real consequences, they might not just care. Like, I don't buy into the narrative that men have to earn their value. I think men are born with a tremendous amount of value. Well, listen, I mean, there's definitely such a thing as increasing your position and trying to bargain for something and having more leverage. So that's like a real phenomena. But, you know, when you get like a kind of Sartain-esque sort of, there's 3 genders, there's high value men that are invisible, and then, you know, women. That's the kind of narrative that I think is harmful, you know. Is there anything wrong with improving yourself? Absolutely not. I think most normal people that aren't depressed wake up every day and are trying to improve themselves. Even if they're not like thinking that in the forefront of their mind, they're working on stuff. They got stuff that they do that makes them happy, that they want to challenge themselves with. Literally, I think anybody who's not, you know, and even some depressed people are doing that too. But it's like the other side of the slut shaming equation is the poor shaming, right? Because I don't know. After that, it's like, well, you know, you're poor and you suck, do better. Maybe the men respond better to that since they can't, you know, it's tougher for them out there in that ways. But in a gynocentric society, shaming the woman is, I don't know what that would do. How can one be ashamed when one has no shame at all? Yeah, you've written it very well there, Luke. If you knew my ex, you'd know that having no shame is actually a thing. It seems to become more prevalent and observable too. Yeah, and they probably they like that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say her specifically, but the women that are out there leading the charge on this, they want to be shamed. You know what I mean? Like it makes them happy that they know they're getting a reaction out of you. They're getting a rise out of you when you start to do that. So, but I don't know. Maybe some people are just so good at the shaming that it works, you know? So some of these people's shame skills are on another level out here. Despite the facts that society has means to control men who betray the social contract jail, we're unwilling to let our daughters marry them. Society has no means to control women who betray the social contract, yet there is an expectation that men marry those women. Yep, that's your gynocentrism revealed there.
Level up. Slut shaming modifies behaviors of promiscuous women.
Yes.
So he's saying definitively it does modify the behaviors of the women. I don't know. I mean, is that true? I mean, you guys seem kind of split on it from that, but I'm just trying to think of big name examples. I think more so the people who reformed, it kind of came from inside of them. Because, you know, listen, like if you take Nala Ray, that's the only person I can think of right now. But when she was on whatever podcast and people were shaming her, she's like, yeah, I love doing that. I love enticing men to cheat on their wives or whatever the heck she was saying on there. I don't think it was the whatever podcast that convinced her, you know, or some of the guests on the podcast, whatever, you know, because that's part of the deal. It was that guy that she met, you know, that was the TikToker dude. And he kind of came in, you know, through the back door, so to speak. Like, I don't think that guy started out by like slut shaming her. I think it probably started out very subtle. Like, hey, you know, whatever, here's a verse here or there. Let's talk about it. What do you think about this? And then after, you know, some time, and then she was feeling them, you know what I mean? And then somewhere on the inside, she had like a change of heart. I'm not trying to like extol her story here, but I'm just comparing this version of events to the slut shaming method. The slut shaming method, I feel like requires a very high level of energy expenditure that I don't think society has in order to properly curtail it. And then worse yet, it would probably just enable it more so than anything, because it's all based off this weird attention economy, you know? I disagree with Rich. I've seen sluts that are absolutely ecstatically proud to be promiscuous and raunchy. Yeah, like that's part of their character. They love that. They're like, yeah, please be more angrier. You know what I mean?
And, you know, realistically, men need to reject any notion that, I mean, look, the problem that I have with most religions is there's no consistency. There's no hard and fast rules that work. It's like, oh, as time goes on, let's just cast this aside. We're not going to take this seriously. Oh, you know, this is a little too harsh. You know, we can't really do this anymore. Let's have rainbows on the churches and stuff like that. And I think that, you know, if the churches want to be taken seriously, I think that guys that are godly like that, you all need to, band together and reject promiscuous women completely. Not celebrate them. If God wants to forgive these hoes, let him, but men should not.
Yes.
If you tried to shame that same type, it only encourages them and makes them happier about it. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, we have a huge white knight problem in the church. And I think
Correct.
that this reminds me of a Survivor Island where they had a men's team and a women's team. And the men's team was just like raking the women's team over the coals. And then the women's team went ahead and found a couple of the betas on the men's team and seduced them to their side to get a couple of the alpha leaders voted off. And then the men's team started lagging behind. And then eventually the women went ahead and voted off the men. And
This is why what he just described there is why I don't, you've heard force doctrine in the space. That might even be Andrew Wilson's. But it's if all the men come together, they would take away the women's rights. But I really believe that nature did give us a parity between men and women, and women, men have this kind of physical dominance and women have this other kind of dominance where it's almost like the 4B movement when the women are like, we're all not going to have sex with the men. Okay. Something like that can only reach so far between the women who usually don't have as much choice as the women up here will break rank and start like, finally, this is my chance, right? The men do the same thing. Like the force doctrine, it's like at a certain critical mass, some men that are usually, they're going to be like, it's my opportunity. They're going to break rank. This is also literally the plot of the Barbie movie. Basically, the Kens come into the Barbie world and they're going to rewrite the constitution of the Barbie world. And the way that the Barbies defeat the Kens is that they're like, we just got to play to the Kens' egos and basically make them think that, we like them. And some of the Kens break rank or whatever, and they end up failing in their endeavor, which is why the force doctrine thing I don't think would ever work, because I do believe there's a natural parity. And it's like, even if you could get all these people on board, what happens after that? So you forced a bunch of women to stay at home, and on a micro level, it's like you're essentially forcing this person to like be your slave. It's just, I don't know. The energy expenditure there isn't worth it, and it's also got certain ramifications. So yeah. Howdy everyone. Hey, Heroes Forge, welcome in, man. We're having fun listening to your video here. Gosh, I'll go through some of these. I don't know any Christian in real life that believes Nala Ray is a real Christian. At least I bet she's a cultural Christian. Yeah, I mean, I think that speaks to the fact that a lot of this is, this is all social media, internet world stuff to some extent too. As a Christian man myself, I don't blame Rich Cooper for thinking this way or not wanting to be a Christian. I think you're right after all. To Luke Nielsen, they used that shame to make money on OF. Base FCZ says, force doctrine is also flawed because rights protect anyone with less power, not just women. Thanks for that point there. I'll have to think about just a little bit more what you mean by that. But maybe in the sense of, if I understand it right, there's also, it's not just all men are these strong men. There's also men of varying degrees of power that it's in their interest to go to the other way too. Otherwise they'll just be subjugated by these other, folks on the top, so to speak. So it's not just about women. It's also about these other demographics of people that by and large are the majority of people, probably when you put them all together. So you really couldn't get this critical mass anyways. I hope I understood that right. Reaper. Hey, Reaper. Good to see you, man. I also miss Coffee Enjoyer, because every time he'd come in, I'd immediately think about how nice a cup of coffee would be. Yeah, people break ranks in 5 seconds. Yeah, I mean, honestly, and Paul Elam basically would describe seeing this, I think, in people or in men in general. It's the whole people are one blowjob away from the plantation. I was trying to describe it another way, you know. So, you know, there's a parody there that people don't want to acknowledge. Exactly, you got my point. You smart. Thank you. Now I'm just getting all big-headed now, but I appreciate that. But yeah, okay, so I'm glad I was able to pick that up. So, okay, moving on.
Backstabbed him like we knew would happen. And so in the church, and then the men's team started lagging behind. And then eventually the women went ahead and voted off the men and backstabbed them like we knew would happen. And so in the church, we have the same kind of thing happening where we have a lot of these beta simps that are constantly attacking guys that hold to their principles and are willing to stand up for truth and to say these things that are uncomfortable because we're willing to offend people to tell people the truth. Whereas I think a lot of times in the church, it is so gynocentric in so many ways that they can't have the stomach to offend women.
Yeah.
Hey, he's got a yerba mate. I have a yerba mate right here. Wow. Good for him.
And that's really the biggest problem that I see in the church right now.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, we live in a female first primary social order. It's one of the first chapters of my book. It's the world that we live in today. You know, women are protected, they're forgiven, and men are disposable. And men are constantly accused of being patriarchal, authoritarians.
Listen, and the thing is too, is like, I don't think you could ever stamp out the simps, so to speak, you know, right? Like that can't be the goal because it's impossible. But there is this kind of tug of war between these two different sides of things. And, you know, maybe when one side gets a little bit too much, the other side has to kind of pull them back a bit. If there were too many alphas in the room, everybody would probably just be fighting each other in a way. They'd probably be like, no, you don't understand Alpha Shaw. They'd all be working together and being super logical and just building bridges to the moon and all that kind of stuff. One hookup away from the plantation is probably as PC as you can make it. Yeah, that's a good alternative.
You can't be patriarchal and authoritarian and that dominant if you're disposable. If men are sent off to war, if men are drafted to go off to war to die, while women vote for the policies that allow men to go off to war and die. Men are disposable and women are protected. And that's the way things are. And that's just the reality of the world that we live in. But
men are disposable and women are protected.
Men can still say no to hoes, you know? Let
me ask that in a poll question. Do you think that men are disposable? Question mark. Start the poll. Okay, sweet. Yeah, we'll just let that one stick around there. Base says every simp can't disappear, but women can be better people. Yes. Like by and large, we can improve things. But you know, I'm not saying Mike is saying that. He's saying there's a simp problem. For some reason, it's just gone way too much to one side, you know. Society needs people of varying degrees.
Can band together and say, no, that's disgusting. I don't want anything to do with that. And I recommend men stay away from that as well.
You know, it reminds me of a question that It's Complicated channel, John always asks. He might have asked it in one of our discussions. But he'll ask, why can women band together in order to change laws, but men can't band together? In some sense, in what sense, Shah? Like how society treats them, or in a general sense? Dang it, I can't remember exactly what you were referring to. Oh, disposable. Yes, the poll question. Well, I guess just off the top of your head, like when you hear that, or in general, I guess maybe. I would probably lean that way for the question.
Yeah, I think the issue too, man. I was like, I've posted before that feminism is the cancer, polygyny is the cure, and I know that's
okay. Polygyny is the cure, so he's gonna say polygyny is the cure to feminism. All right, that's interesting. Luke says I didn't answer the poll. Men can't be disposable. Can't be disposable, but not disposable, or can be disposable. Men built pretty much everything, so they aren't yet. They are treated as if they are. Okay, I think I hear what you're saying there. I was kind of thinking of it more in like the mindset of it. It's like men are disposable, maybe because a lot of us believe that narrative. But if we didn't believe that narrative, would we actually be disposable? Because society doesn't care about men's complaints, generally speaking. Okay. Okay, so we'll go and move in here a little bit and just hear what he's got to say. So he's saying polygyny is the cure to feminism.
Conversation's not.
I mean, over here, you know.
Your dowry.
But let's see what he's got to say. Oh, we're kind of missing Michael saying for tonight. He would like this, actually. This is a shout out to Silver Pill.
Supposed to be about polygyny, but like if is the cancer, I think the issue too, man. I was like, I've posted before that feminism is the cancer, polygyny is the cure. And I know this conversation is not supposed to be about polygyny, but like if you look, this isn't a new thing. Like feminism infecting culture, you know, creeping in. If you go back to Israel, you know, where I don't know if you probably know this passage, Mike, but basically Joash becomes the king at 7 years old. This is right after all the idol worship, all the Baal worship and Ashtoreth poles. Ashtoreth was like the female goddess. The country was a mess, and they had all this judgment come upon them. And Jehoiada, the high priest, gives King Joash 2 wives. He was 7 years old, so nobody can say it was about sex. It wasn't about sex. It was about putting women in their proper role, because once polygyny exposes male authority, right? It's undeniable that God gave men certain rights that he didn't give women, and it automatically puts them in their proper, you know, in the hierarchy of the relationship. It puts them in their proper, you know, place, so to speak. Order would be a better word. But in Isaiah 3, when you read that chapter, and I think that's where we're getting really close to that point, total mess, you know, comes upon the world, maybe, or some people will say it was maybe Israel or Judah, but a time of severe judgment. And then the remedy is Isaiah 4, the very next chapter. 7 women will take hold of 1 man. And in that day, the branch of the Lord will be glorious and beautiful. Polygyny heals the land. That's a
well, if they keep doing sex selective abortion, then maybe that'll become true. Yellow Pilled Programmer says men are disposable. We are expected to build everything and then we're cast aside. Okay. Yeah, that seems to be there in line with the Heroes Forge. His answer. It's not a bad answer. I mean, I could see that. The more I look into the feminist movement, most women didn't band together. Most women didn't support women's rights. It was manufactured and pushed by other forces. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's an interesting perspective on that. So it was other people that had more nefarious goals, and they were able to use their power to create a sufficient propaganda campaign to get enough of them to, you know, be programmed with that. You know, I can see what you're saying there, Yellow Pilled. I guess if I had to think, like, can a man choose to not build those things for everybody else and say, well, if you guys don't respect me, I'll choose to build these things for us or for the people I care about only, and not, you know, bargain my building power in such a way. Reaper says, in Revolutionary Wars, World War I and World War II, they killed 50 million men. We are living in we're living in a world of people without history, without family. Well, it certainly seems like we're living outside of history in some ways. You know, I think it was Kant who said we were at the end of history. My answer was really more towards John's question about a female collective pressure compared to male collective pressure. But that's cool. Oh, okay. Sorry, I hadn't realized that. Oh, because society doesn't care about men's complaints, generally speaking. Okay, I can see how that answers John's question. Thanks for that, Heroes Forge. Yeah, so, okay, moving in.
Again, what's happening? We do live in a gynocentric world. It's infected the church. Feminism has infected the church. The way to get us back is to go back to how the Bible defines marriage. A man can take more than 1 wife if he so chooses. A woman cannot. She gets 1 man for all of her life, according to the Bible. A man can have many. That's the thing that really bothered me.
You know, I don't know. Maybe someone else could correct me there, but divorce was still a thing in, I think in the Old Testament times there. You know, it really wasn't till later on, probably like 300 years after, you know, into the church that there's strict monogamy and no divorce, I think. So I think a little bit about how this Old Testament time is portrayed is a little idealistic here with the no divorce part, because polygynous societies are known to have more divorce. I actually had a conversation with the Male Space and Dr. Baskerville about this. Dr. Baskerville did some pushback to me on the dowry stuff, so you guys might actually enjoy that episode. But he's just like, he doesn't understand why there'd be less divorce in a dowry monogamy society versus a polygynous one where there's a bride price paid. I didn't do a good job of answering that, but really dowry is because the women and the men are both invested in the marriage, so there's issues with divorce there. The other answer that I think is probably better is that for a bride price paying society, a guy can get divorced and not care about getting his bride price money back. So it's easier to get divorced. If a guy wants to divorce in a dowry society, he has to pay her the dowry back if she wasn't at fault. Which is not easy to do. So there's, and then, a monogamous setup is more stable in general than having, 6 wives probably. And polygynous societies tend to be a lot poorer too. So, fun stuff. But yeah, when that episode comes out on a Male Spaces channel there, then you guys will enjoy that, but it's not for a couple weeks. Sorry, I'm just enjoying chatting with you guys. Caesar Quintana says men are not disposable. I like that. I like that. I'm going to end the poll. That reminds me to end the poll, actually. 62% said no, men are not disposable. And 38% said yes. Okay, so still a bit of a split there. Rob sounds like he took the silver pill. Yeah, he certainly did. The Hero's Forge. Divorce was only available to men, generally speaking, at barring truly exceptional circumstances. That's the difference. I forgot, does a silver pill support monogamy? No. The silver pill is all about polygyny and bride price. That's Michael Sayan's thing. I would have to see that conversation. Yeah, that's coming out soon. Dr. Baskerville speaks very highly of you and your work, though, so I don't think I would take too much of that pushback to heart. No, I think it was good, because if the thing is I'll probably end up having conversations with other people, so it's good to get some of that pushback, because I think it'll make me more ready for some of these other conversations. And it was a fair amount of pushback too, so we had fun there in the discussion. Hey, Steve Sandman, welcome in. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Shout out to the folks over there at Resurgence. It pretty much changed the New Testament after the crucifixion. Jesus restored the norm of monogamy, which was the norm in Genesis. I know, once the one flesh part there is, I believe, what's used to justify monogamy going forward. I could be wrong about that. I meant to say polygamy. Well, very specifically polygyny. Because polygyny is one man with multiple women. I tend to push back on the polygyny thing, because polygyny is associated with less complex forms of society. So, what Rob is saying here, listen, if society's degenerating and we live in this just welfare society where, people live off the fat of the government, then yeah, maybe polygyny can come back, because we don't have what we had as far as this wound up sort of class-based society that made sense with private property and all these things. If we're going away from that, then yeah, maybe polygyny can come back. Most people probably don't want that to be the case. Agreed. Society expects men to work nonstop and not complain. Enter Sandman. Since young men aren't in the workforce, that's why they have to import lots of labor from outside. The importing of labor, I think, has to do with the jobs that people don't like initially, I think it starts out with importing labor for jobs that the native population don't want to do, like farm work or low paying kind of tedious jobs, you know. But then, you know, kind of what we see nowadays is it just sort of becomes this thing where it's like a company that can save whatever money it can will probably take the option to like either outsource a job or possibly be able to pay someone less who would do that, which is normal, rational behavior in a capitalist kind of world. But there's like the outsourcing of jobs to other places. Then there's the importing of labor. But like if you think of the tech industry, they were still importing people to work, you know, like with the whole H-1B visa thing, right? So that's not just exporting the job, but companies were incentivized to do that to save money. But in the beginning, it's mostly about like jobs people don't want to do. Like California was a lot of like farm labor, especially in the 60s and like 70s. So they were importing a lot of labor to do that, you know. So the tough thing about many of the studies associated with polygyny is most of them are societies that don't have male sedatives like our society. Like we have corn and we have video games. Yeah, well, and I think that's the challenging part of this whole discussion, Mike, is that we are in this new world, right? Like these old ways of talking about things were based off when men and women's labor had different value. The other thing about polygyny, which Rob is discussing, is that polygynous society, women's contribution, their labor value to agriculture was more than men's. So women's contribution to labor meant something. Then in dowry and monogamous societies, women's labor was comparatively worth a lot less, and it was more uniform to each other compared to men's labor. So that's what led to monogamous dowry-paying societies. Now we have another changeover, you know, where women's labor is worth more again, or they can get paid for certain labor, and where before those opportunities weren't really there. And it wasn't because people were keeping them down. It was just because those opportunities actually didn't exist, you know? So the way technology plays into this is a huge factor, you know? So we're really trying to get people to do this thing called marriage, which has changed with the way technology and the divide in labor and labor value has changed, you know, and all these economic factors. So it's like, what we need to do is try to find out, can we take this thing called marriage and fit it into the current technological and economic type world that we have, you know, given these characteristics. Steve says, we just finished our show on the topic of what is patriarchy. It was just a back and forth discussion where we explored the topic in several ways. Well, awesome. Yeah. I mean, if you can feel free to, you know, share that in the Discord if you ever want to. That's over at the Resurgence YouTube channel. Sounds pretty cool, Steve. Thanks for sharing that. Opseeker says, you can see culture as rationalization of the customs that allowed a group to survive. With low environment pressure and social engineering, culture has no legs and can't sustain, leading to collapse. I saw Tyler O documentary on mass importation of Indians in Texas. I actually saved that documentary. I saw he posted that on Twitter. Well, I don't follow him, but I saw it on my feed. And I actually wanted to watch that. That was the one about Texas, I think. I was going to go back and check that out. Oh, yeah, in Texas, working at simple jobs and people losing jobs. Yeah, because they're willing to get paid less for those. I mean, listen, it was the same thing over here in California with tech. I mean, you'd have like 6 guys living in an apartment getting paid 20 to 30 grand less than what somebody who was a citizen here doing the same job at like a place, you know, one of these big tech companies. And they were incentivized to do that. I actually have a paper about, you know, laborers from South Asia in like places like Dubai. They, you know, you often hear about how badly they get treated, and that's probably, some of it's probably true. But a lot of it is also they're choosing to live, you know, 6 people to an apartment because they're sending money back home to take care of their families and stuff like that. And the way they do family kind of enables them to be able to put up with that for a long time. So it just creates this strange advantage for that demographic in the market in some ways. But yeah, I'd be interested to watch that documentary. Dan, sounds like it was a good one.
Most with Trevor Sheets was because he was the virgin and she was the one with all the sexual experience. If you look at the Bible, the woman was supposed to be a virgin on her wedding night, and if she wasn't, you would stone her to death at the door of her father's house.
You know, this probably right here explains why there was a lot of annoyance with this, because the way he describes it, it's like the Trevor Sheets thing is almost a complete capitulation. It's basically saying like the complete opposite is true. It's like the man's a virgin nowadays and the woman's the one with the experience, versus the man being, you know, the woman more than likely being a virgin. It's like a complete capitulation, basically.
And the man was allowed to take more than one wife if he so chose. Now it's completely reversed. It's the opposite of God's order. You got a virgin man committing to monogamy only to a whore. It's so.
I mean, you know, what made monogamy happen was
dowry. It's my right.
the one thing about him is he doesn't mention about bride price and dowry. Like, it would be kind of cool probably chatting with him about that. I don't know. Maybe he'd find it interesting. Maybe it'd be a fun conversation. But I wonder what his opinion would be given those factors of, because, you know, it's very clear there in the Old Testament too about the mohar and the marriage transactions. But maybe having a discussion with him about why those changed, so to speak, would be, you know, a fun one.
So backward, and that's at the root of this whole thing. Is we have to get back to the way God defined it. Because look, if
see the whole thing about God defining it, I don't know if God, like, I don't think God laid down the law and said it has to be this and it has to be that forever. Basically, you know what I mean? And as far as the marriage transaction goes, that kind of lies outside of the scriptural text there. And that's how you get things like a dowry system in Europe for, you know, almost 2,000 years. And that's how you get the Pope handing out dowries to orphaned women who couldn't get married otherwise. It's because it wasn't, you know, a direct problem for the scriptural text. It's more mentioned as like, yeah, this happened and the mohar was paid. And that was, you know, what happened. But it's not like, you know, from now to the end of time, this is God's way of doing it. At least I don't think so. So, you know, that would be an interesting thing to look into more.
Rich,
but he's presenting it as God said it must be this way. From the beginning of time to the end of time.
I told you, you get a virgin wife and you can marry more than one, you would get married. You're not against marriage. You're against marriage under the circumstances that we're in.
I'm against family law is what I'm against.
Yeah, family.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I get it, and I can appreciate him saying that. Sometimes he has that tweet where he's like, "It's not family law, it's you. You got to do the work." But yeah, okay. Now shout out to him for that. I believe him when he says that.
Dictating how
I believe him when he says he's the family law is what he doesn't
get married. You're not against marriage. You're against marriage under the circumstances that we're in.
I'm against family law is what I'm against.
Yeah, family law is a problem too.
Dictating how my relationship is going to go. I mean, the end state of hypergamy is polygyny anyway. You know, we've already talked about this before because women are.
You know, what's missing from the conversation, and I'm glad I got to chat about that with Mike, is how you check hypergamy, and this is where, you know, these discussions about dowry and stuff come in. That would be also a fun conversation for Rich too. I don't know. Maybe he'd find it interesting.
Routinely sharing the guys in the top shelf. It's just they do it in a covert way. They overtly declare monogamy to somebody, and then they covertly act in a clandestine way behind the scenes, banging a bunch of guys.
Well, you know, and the difference between a true polygyny is at least there is an actual marriage there, so it's still like an ordered thing. The end state of you know what he's calling hypergamy to me still requires a strict definition of marriage. But what he's really, the end state is really a bunch of concubines, essentially, right?
And they go through that, and, you know, certain numbers come up, and it's realized that they're promiscuous at some point, but you never get the real number. Yeah. And then they go and they become religious, and then they go and get forgiven, and some guy will wife them up. And it's like, really, really bad choice.
And not just wife them up, but literally talk them up to the rest of society and be like, my wife is the best, purer than virgins.
Really bad choice. But yeah, I mean, to the point of what you're making with polygyny, it solves a lot of what you're discussing, and it also creates other sets of problems too, right?
Right.
Well, the
It
family
does.
law issue is a problem, but if you go back to the Bible, if a woman left a man, she got nothing. She didn't get the kids, she didn't get
Right.
any possessions,
Yeah.
because God knew that they're the weaker vessel and they're more easily deceived, and her emotions would betray her, and oftentimes she will blow up her family. So the God didn't want to incentivize her to do that. So he's like, "Yeah, you can leave your husband, but you get nothing." So of course,
Well, so I mean, here's the. I mean, let's listen to that one more time just to make sure I was responding to somebody.
kids, she didn't get any possessions is a problem. But if you go back to the Bible, if a woman left a man, she got nothing. She didn't get the kids, she didn't get
Right.
any possessions,
Yeah.
because
What they would have gotten, in some ways, if she would have left, then the bride price would technically need to get paid back. If the guy divorced her, then he's like, all right, whatever. I don't, he's probably given that up, I think, and then she would have gotten that.
God knew that they're the weaker vessel and they're more.
Really, what anybody gets in a divorce, unless there's true fault committed, is what they brought into the marriage. And that's how dowry societies were for a long time. It's like, okay, a divorce happened, she didn't commit adultery, then yes, like her dowry property goes with her. That's her property. That was women's property throughout history. He's talking about another time here. The other thing too is the way it's being presented of, oh, he got nothing. The thing about polygynous societies is that they're not private property societies like dowry monogamous societies are. And hypergamy isn't so much an issue in polygynous societies because you don't have very rich men and very poor men. The tribe holds the land in corporate by and large. So it's not like there's this shortage of land and, oh, she took the house and this and that. Well, first of all, the houses aren't even that sophisticated to begin with. We'll get another one made in 2 days over here. So it's not like there's this partability of the land there, and the tribe holds it in corporate. So it's just applying these understandings of living in a monogamous society where you have class stratification, and then sort of in a kind of anachronism, putting it back to polygynous days and saying, see, it didn't work like that, is kind of a misstep here, because you don't understand how property and labor were looked at in those societies. It was very different than the monogamous ones. So I think he's just missing that piece of history there.
Easily deceived, and her emotions would betray her, and oftentimes she will blow up her family. So the God didn't want to incentivize her to do that. So he's like, yeah, you can leave your husband, but you get nothing. So of course women didn't leave their husbands all that often. But I was on a podcast and I said to the guys, I said, like if you go back to the Bible, it says if you sleep with an unbetrothed virgin as a man, you have to wife her. And I said, imagine if that was still the case.
Or at least pay probably pay the full bride price.
Imagine if the case was, look, the woman was supposed to be a virgin on her wedding night, and you could marry more than one if you so chose. Man, we would all get married if they're, like people.
If you so chose, if you have the bride price amounts to pay that. So that's part of the choosing there.
Dragging their feet, they would get married, especially if the family law was fixed. Because I understand this is a multifaceted.
They had a lot of things going on too. There was also the levirate marriage. I mean, yeah, there was cousin marriage going on. There was, if your brother passed away, then yeah, you would marry the wife if there wasn't any children there as heirs, and you would be the closest thing to provide an heir, for your brother. There was a lot of different things going on in marriage, for a while.
Problem.
Sure.
But yes, I do think if at the end of the day, this is a complete inversion of God's order. So,
well, and I mean, soft polygyny is already going on right now,
100%.
where you've got a lot of women that'll go ahead and attach themselves to one man, and
concubines.
Usually, it's the guys at the top. It has always been that case. The primary practitioners of polygyny have always been the aristocracy and the people in the upper crust, because they're the ones that can actually do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, those people can do that, and then probably just people with a lot of smooth talking. It's like you kind of look at these things sometimes and you're like, well, the topmost do it and the bottommost do it somehow, if you can call them the bottommost. You know what I mean? So funny stuff. Heroes Forge says the vast majority of biblical polygynists were of the aristocracy or of the monarchy. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Because you might get somebody that was, they might have 2 wives or something like that, and it's like, are they aristocracy? I don't think so. In the latter period, in the later periods, I would say, of the Israelite history, yes. When they start to become urbanized. Can you see my chats? Well, that sucks. Upstream and started it again. Not sure if everyone needs to migrate or not. Well, it's showing me something streaming there, so I don't, let me look at my YouTube. Man, see, now I'm sweating. We were just trying to have fun. Have fun. Okay, let's see what's going on. Ooh, Super Mario World 3 Lost Pads. That looks interesting. Okay, maybe we're still going on here, actually. Hey, okay, so nobody had to go anywhere, huh? Probably the Twitter stream died, but, you know. Shout out to the Twitter stream. Nah, it'll be fine. Okay, so I think it still worked, huh? We're back on this. All right, great. Well, I'm just happy there's not a second one. That was ridiculous. Sorry about that, folks. So, yeah, I think we're back. Man, you can see the sweat beading on my forehead. I'm like, great, we lost the stream. Going crazy over here. Okay, we got that. We got the Twidget. But you cut out every once in a while? Dang, that doesn't make for good TV. Man, maybe something's going on with my internet. And I'm telling you, I don't cheap out on the internet. Like, I pay a lot of money for fast internet. So that's annoying. It might just be my service providers wigging out. You're back. Okay. Hopefully it's not like terrible. Hopefully it's not terrible. Like it's watchable. Like I see green on my OBS. Oh, dang it. Okay. Yes. Oh gosh. Let's see. Sorry, just moving things around now. All right. I think it's clear now. Cool, man. All right. Well, sorry about that, guys. Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for sticking with me. There's probably no way I'm going to find it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, this is way too much to read on here for today. All right, cool. All right, well, before we get back to the Heroes Forge thing, let's see if we can find some brain rot real quick. Just to kind of liven up the show, huh? Profile, saved. Reaction. I know I saved some things that are kind of funny. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Man, I know I found some funny stuff. No audio. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? We see you, but no audio on our end. Your default microphone may have changed. Good point. Let's go and see. Roadcaster. Properties. It's looking like it's it. Here, let me turn it on and off. Okay. I don't know. If it's not working in like a couple minutes, I say we just call the stream and I'll be back Friday. I gotta figure out what's going on. Something ain't right. Any luck now? Guys, I think this is going to be it. I am going to call the stream. Oh, hear you now. Okay, beautiful. Okay, well, I hear you. Okay, Don DeMarco, legit. I'm kind of tempted to just call the stream anyways. We're hitting about 2 hours. I was enjoying this conversation. It's going to be 9. It's a weeknight. How about we reconvene on Friday evening, because I'll probably be out BSing on Saturday, and then we get back to it. So I think we had fun listening to this conversation. It brought up some good topics there, and I'm getting the freaking bitrate warning again. I really got to see what's going on with my internet. I'm gonna have to make some phone calls. So yeah, let me just play some music for y'all. See if we can get some music playing, and we'll see it out. Friday it is. Yeah, we'll do Friday. Friday at 7 p.m. Usual suspects. I might even go to. Man, I don't know if I can. Yeah, I just got a call streaming for tonight. I know I want to do other stuff, man, but I can't. Dan the Man, thank you for making that song for Paul Elam. He really enjoyed it, man. That was so cool. Where's my radio edit for Better Get My Dowry? That's what I want to see. Luke Nielsen, thanks for being here. Base, thanks for coming in and saying hello, man. That means a lot. Especially when guys like you come in. Better Get My Dowry radio edit. Hell yeah. Heck yeah. Could we play my song, the one for Paul? Absolutely we can. And I know you gave that to me. Can you give me, I know you gave me the final version. Dang it. Here we go. I got it down to, no, actually the one that you put, it is in the AI section. Sorry I do this to you every time, bro. I really apologize, man. Okay. Oh, it's literally on Paul's YouTube channel, man. What the heck's wrong with me? All right. Wait, we're going to Paul's YouTube channel. We're playing the song right now. Just so you guys know, I'm getting an error from YouTube about my bit rate or whatever, so this may not be the best. Paul Elam. Okay. Right here. So this was made by Dan the Man. Shout out to Dan the Man. Real cool here. So this is on Paul Elam's channel. Got some love. Here's Dan's comment. Let's go ahead and play it. Too good, man. I think the stream's dying. Dang it.
How much do I have to shit on you to make you love me? How far gone do I gotta be before you finally see? I gave you love, I gave you truth, but that ain't what you need. How much do I have to shit on you to make you love me? Met you in a
Oh, my bad, man. I just wasn't talking because I thought it wasn't working.
I was steady, you were wildfire dancing.
Thank you, Dan the Man, for making this, by the way.
I gave you time, I played it right. Stayed with you through.
Well, guys, I tried to make a stream happen tonight. I don't know why it's not being nice. I'm going to finish Highlander and just eat some food. That's what I want to do.
How much do I have to shit on you
Man, that's a good song.
to make you love me? How far gone do I gotta be?
Thanks, guys, for coming in. Hopefully Friday night's not a disaster.
Gave you truth, but that ain't what you need. How much do I have to shit on you?
Hopefully Friday night's not a disaster and we have fun. I think by and large an hour and a half of the stream was good before it went down. I love this solo right here. This part's good. Dan the Man, you did really good on this song, man. I play that song a lot through the week. Bro, it's a good song, man. I love the picture of Paul, too.
He don't call, he disappears, leaves you drowned.
Paul and I got another adventure coming, but, you know, can't really say too much about it now. But I might be able to get a little bit more content for you guys. So this will be at like the end of April, early May. So I won't say much about that. Hopefully I'll catch you. I've been missing too many streams. Now, anytime you come in here is a blessing for us, Base. So I appreciate you coming in and saying hi. You know what, man? I wanted to message you, and I wanted to be like, when's the next video coming out? But I stopped myself because I was like, man, don't bother him. He's probably busy with something, you know. And then yesterday we got the video, and I was like, oh, yes. It was either yesterday or the day before, but when I saw it, you know. Man, this song is too good right here. I'm glad you put it to 4 minutes. Dan, I'm telling you, I feel bad for as many times as I kept sending it back, so to speak. But I think you really created something that was like very good. You know, like this one was made in the fires of the forge, so to speak.
Shit on you to make you love me. How much do I have to shit on you to make you love me? How much do I have to?
All right, guys, we had a fun stream tonight. Apologize again for the, you know, I guess, you know, the technical issues. But next time. So hopefully Friday we won't have to deal with that. I'll try to figure out what's going on. I think it's really just my internet, because even while I was working, stuff like that was happening. So salute to everybody. Have a fantastic Wednesday evening and a fantastic rest of your week. We'll see you again here Friday, 7. And yeah, we'll see y'all